Now, this was your original. You have a little bit of 1 point linear going on. But then whatever this object is isn't functioning in it. This object is not functioning in it. This object is kind of functioning in it, and these objects are not functioning in it. This one kind of is. So, how do we fix it? Well, my recommendation is set a different angle.
Okay.
And go for 2 point linear.
Gotcha.
Now, because we want a high angle of view, what we want to do is set our horizon line high, okay? So I'm going to put it way up here. Now that said, our actual vanishing points are going to extend beyond tomorrow.
Whenever anyone says the word beyond, I think of in Harry Potter, the Professor Trelawney, where's beyond? And she does like the spirit thing. It's great. She's my favorite. One of my favorite people in there. Her insane.
The movie never got Horace Slughorn right. Trust me. My department chair at Western was Horace Slughorn. I mean, like, he was the exact book description. All right. If he ever gets these videos, he'll wonder. Now, what am I marking here? Way out here in the middle of nowhere.
These are the points.
Vanishing points. So, let's determine our table now. Let's make this interesting.
I'm kind of surprised you don't have a smartphone. Like, I feel like you would just have a smartphone, but you don't.
All right. So I've set a table. Let me get rid of this line so it doesn't confuse us.
What kind of, like, where do they
Now,
go with?
here's our table. Now our table needs an edge, right? It's not a one-dimensional thing, is it? Okay. So, to that vanishing point. The thing to remember is this. Things that face this way go towards that vanishing point. Things that face this way go towards that vanishing point. Okay? So that's how they become defined. Now that I have all this set up, there's a couple of different things I could do to help myself out here. I could make a grid. So therefore it would help me with placement of objects. But I think you're skilled enough, you can skip the grid. These points. Now here's the thing. You can have things functioning on other vanishing
Yeah, that's what I
points.
was saying. Like, sometimes grids suck, because I try to do grids, but then there's other things sitting at different...
Right, and so they have their own set of vanishing points, but those are always on the horizon line unless it's 3 point linear. Now, so let's put an object in, shall we? What is this thing, this black thing here?
That's my laptop closed.
Your laptop closed. Well, let's put your laptop closed on here. So we got the back of the laptop closed right here, correct? Now we're just going to do it in terms of the geometry. All right, line that up. How big? How big do you think? You think out to here? I think out to there.
Probably.
That looks about right. Now, from this point to that point. Now, make sure we're still in line. Towards that vanishing point. This point goes here. this point goes that way. See?
Mhm.
Now, we know that the laptop's going to have a separation, right?
Mhm.
So, and again, this is the geometry of it. You straighten it out when you come in for the main drawing, right?
Okay.
All right, so there's that. Now, and since we know there's a word that's going to be going in right here, I'm going to put a line there. I'm going to put a line there. And then here. And then here. Because that way you know that the L in the Lenovo starts there.
Mhm.
And the O would go there, you see?
Mhm.
So now you can size your letters as they move across, and it goes correct. Now, next item up for bid. The hat. Let's do the hat. In doing the hat's a circular thing. It means we need to determine first the space it's going to occupy on the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set down a set of lines that will define that space. Okay. This is its space. It occupies. Now, with that said, one of the things we know about this space is that you have a cap. So let's now redefine a certain aspect solely for the purpose of the hat itself.
Excuse me.
So if it's round, halfway, 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 halfway. Curve, curve, and curve. Okay?
Mhm.
A cap comes out, right? And comes out. And then curves. Make sense? Now, how do we make the dome of the hat? Well, we determine how high up that hat's going to be. Now, we could make a full-on cube to define the space, like a straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up, and then connect the dots, going back towards their correct things, and then, you know, do the space. But honestly, this is one that really you could just do by feel.
Mhm.
You know it's rounded, right?
Mhm.
Additionally, this comes out. I'm going to put a curve in it. You see? By doing that, I now know that that's a space.
Mhm.
So now I have. See, that line's not a waste. The cap. Okay? You good? Toothless. Let's put him in there. Let's build him like so. The space he occupies. That's the space he occupies. Now, how high is he going to be? He's one of the largest objects on here. This means this is the space that he occupies. Okay?
Mhm.
That means that part of him will go above the horizon line. This really just gives you a form to work in.
Mhm.
For the object itself. knowing how big and where certain lines are going to need to go in order to see center across and things like that. See? So now he's in there. Now let's talk about things that don't function. We have a Copic. It means it's going to be an oval. Let's put it on a different set of vanishing points. I'm going to put it here. And let's see. But then we'll use the same old vanishing point over here.
Hold it out enough to where it didn't go back in. It would be too wobbly.
All right, now. Make sense? Here, 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 here. Same premise.
I would try to make the ground look a bit smoother because there you can kind of see like the dividable line where it separates from the sky almost like where the face is. And then like kind of like make it smooth instead of having to.
See?
Like make a paint or something. Like make it more for it.
If it needs to be longer, we can make it longer. Carrying out those same angles, that same curve. You see? So.
Working within the cube
Right.
thing.
So, but see, this one goes to that vanishing point and then uses those.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now, it seems a bit big in comparison to the laptop, though. Maybe I made it a little too large. If that's the case, this is only a sketch. I just have to do this. Now I know. And all those go that way. And if it's a Copic, we'll flatten it out a little bit more too. And then you come in. Make sense? So that's how you get an object that's off of it. But do you understand? I mean, essentially, you're building the cubes that everything will function and live in. Really, at this point, you're ready to just go ahead and darken, add in, get a little looser with your lines and whatnot, make things stand out better. Okay? And in order to do that, you need a minimum 3B pencil. Preferably, for you, 4 or 6. All right. Because, and you need it to be sharp. Okay?
Working dark and dull is not easy.
Right. See, the hat now can be made to stand out.
Benedict Cumberbatch is engaged.
No.
You say no?
Yes. I'm just kidding.
She looks like she could be his little sister. It's kind of weird.
That's very weird.
Are you Googling that now? I think her name's like Sophie Hunter or something. Yep.
All right, making sense? Now, last thing I want to show you is this. And what we're going to do for this.
I can't wait to live.
Now record. All right, let's talk about value. Right now, you have a land of middle gray with a little bit of darker gray.
Gotcha.
Where's your light source? It emanates from the atoms of the oxygen around it. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Cool. Although you wouldn't get very many shadows, so it would kind of defeat.
You need to determine a light source. So where shall the light source be?
I like it going from like that direction.
From here this way. So let's just pretend that our light source is here. Okay, this is the light source. This is where all our light for this will emanate. Now we need to determine where the shadows are. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to switch back over to something very light, okay? And very gently, I'm going to point it to the light source and not the vanishing point. And then push these, put some lines in here, okay? So they all go back towards that light source, all right? Now, top of the hat points back to there. Tip of the brim. Okay? Edge of the hat. Toothless. That way. But also, let's consider the front of him. Let's consider his tip of his nose. Let's consider his foot. Right? That ankle. That foot. That ankle. Okay? The Copic. Now, these lines may all seem kind of crazy. So what's the next step? Light emanates, right? Well, the next step is to go back to your original vanishing points now and carry those out to a logical point. Then wherever they meet, in this case, from here to here, I'm going to give a line. Now, from here. So the light point emanates down to here and comes around, so that comes down there to this point. So really we know that the hat curve goes here. Shadows follow the form, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it projects down to here, and we can curve that around, and it can kind of come in. But then, you know, we've got the brim of the hat, right? And see, we've got all that pointing this way, which means that it gets weird. Little bit of there, long there, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the back, where the back was, right? I'm just going to gently put this in, like so. Now, toothless. Got the light emanating down. They meet here. Shadow of the foot. Shadow of the foot. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now the rest of it, most of him, merges back over, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Because that shoots off. Pretty much at this point, you're looking at from here back to here, going this way. Toothless just kind of merges into all of that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
His shadow on his arm is going to be there beside him. Okay, so all of this area from here over, this goes this way and this way. Now if we come across here, same thing. This curve reversed.
Oh.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, with that said, we take, let's say, a good dull, soft one. And everywhere the light wouldn't hit becomes, oop, I'll take that out in just a second. Underneath the hat, around the side, up to it. So pretty much from where that point started, all back in here. Notice I'm trying to keep fuzzy edges. Again, that's all that side of the hat. All right. Here, up into here, all into this side. Maybe right up into there, over there, over there. Side here, down onto there. Right into there. Alright. Now, that fuzzes out. That's like that. This end, down into here. If it's a hard light,
Mm-hmm.
your shadow lines are going to be crisp,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you're going to want to erase up to them to create that nice, clean, straight edge of a hard light.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want a line. That's why you want to use the eraser to create it. And then you just come back in, touch up kind of as needed. Okay. And you can go back over stuff to really make it stand out now, using that higher B pencil. And straight lines, use your straight edge to really give them a greater crispness. bit, but you know. See, now I have shadow. Now to get my full range, come back into your darker areas with a darker pencil. Now jump to like a 6, 7, 8, depending on what you're using. And really start making that gradient. And you do it in kind of stages. So you come through, add your really dark areas. Give me just a few minutes, Dexter. So, dark ones. Then you could change pencils or loosen your pressure now. To get your values to shift. So it's really about pressure control in the end. And shadows tend to be consistent for the most part. You just kind of want to look, is it a darker one? Kind of, grade them in a certain way. So does this help?
Definitely.
All right. So do you feel like the getting darker is kind of part of your issue? Notice how I'm pressure point, but see the rest of this part of the pencil is giving me my gradient. See? So I'm actually using the angle of the pencil to provide me with kind of my shadow and my gradient. I have no real ground here, so I'm just creating a tone. Now, the thing is, it's just a bunch of smudging until you clean it up.
Is that all you're doing? You don't want that ink. Well, you can't really clean up ink anyway. It's a lot more work. It's too obvious.
Make sense?
Whiteout's usually way too white.